It is Friday, October 10th. President Trump accomplishing the impossible. After 3,000 years, there is peace in the Middle East. The peace deal between Israel and Hamas, now in writing, signed, the remaining hostages being prepared to be released by Monday at 5 p.m. And even so, Trump snubbed by the Norwegian Nobel Committee, saying Trump doesn't live up to Alfred Nobel's will. What in the world does that mean? And the trade war with China just went nuclear. Beijing furious over this peace deal, announcing massive new export controls on the U.S. and every Western allied country.
The good is that obviously the ceasefire is holding. The ceasefire is working. These people feel free to make their way north. They are walking along a main seaside route along the Mediterranean, heading north towards Gaza City. The clock has begun. Now 72 hours until Hamas has to release the hostages.
After 3,000 years, a constant struggle between neighbors, Israel and Palestine coming together, agreeing to a real and lasting peace. The ceasefire has begun. The deal signed. Tens of thousands of Palestinians now returning home, returning to Gaza this morning. The anti-Israel crowd, of course, criticizing the peace plan last week, but not anymore. Hamas lost, folks. In war, the winner declares the terms of surrender, not the other way around. And importantly, Hamas has agreed to step down from power, surrender their weapons, and return all remaining hostages. They have until Monday at 5 p.m. to release all remaining hostages. It is now a shared reality that this Gaza peace plan is historic, something nobody thought was possible. And for so long, it's been like both sides have two different realities. Well, finally, they're meshing, and everyone, Democrats, Republicans, Palestinians, Israelis, all agreeing how extraordinary a moment this is. Watch. People from all walks of life coming forward to agree if anyone deserved the Nobel Peace Prize after this, it was Donald Trump. Even Democrats saying this. Watch.
Thanks President Trump for the return of the hostages, for the peace he has brought to the region. I call on the Nobel Committee to award President Trump the Nobel Peace Prize.
The whole point of having a Nobel Peace Prize is for ending wars and promoting peace. And if he brings the Ukrainian war to its end, I'll be the Democrat leading the committee.
Even so, this morning, the Norwegian Nobel Committee, the committee responsible for choosing the Nobel Peace recipient, snubbing President Trump, awarding it to Venezuelan activist Maria Corina Machado for, quote, attempting to promote a more democratic society inside Venezuela. Really? That's great, but what about the guy who just stopped an active war? Well, the chairman of the committee says President Trump doesn't live up to Alfred Nobel's will for the award. What in the world does that mean? Watch.
Congratulations to Maria Corina Machado and the committee on the decision. But during the past months, U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly said he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize and he'd like to have it. He even said that it would be an insult to the United States if he doesn't get it. What does as the chairman of the Nobel Peace Prize Committee think of this, and how has this campaign-like activity by the president and his supporters domestically and internationally affected the deliberations and the thinking in the committee?
In the long history of the Nobel Peace Prize, I think this committee has seen any type of campaign, media attention. We receive thousands and thousands of letters every year of people wanting to say what for them leads to peace. This committee sits in a room filled with the portraits of all laureates, and that room is filled with both courage and integrity. So we base only our decision on the work and the will of Alfred Nobel.
Well, this morning, Maria Corina Machado dedicating her award to President Trump, saying, "I dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to President Trump for his decisive support of our cause." Meanwhile, the people of the world celebrating this evening thanks to this bloody, deadly Gaza war coming to an end. Everyone's happy, ecstatic, except two countries, two people, Iran and even more than Iran, China. This morning, Beijing announcing a massive escalation to the trade war, which began 8 months ago, following in President Trump's footsteps, mailing letters to all Western allied countries, informing them of new punishing export controls on critical products, including critical sectors such as rare earth metals, commodities that can almost solely be purchased from China. President Trump writing a long, detailed post on Truth Social in response, saying this: "Some very strange things happening inside China. They are becoming very hostile and sending letters to countries throughout the world that they want to impose export controls on each and every element of production having to do with rare earth and virtually anything else they can think of, even if it's not manufactured in China. Nobody has ever seen anything like this, but essentially it would clog the markets and make life difficult for virtually every country in the world, especially for China. We have been contacted by other countries who are extremely angry at this great trade hostility which came out of nowhere. The Chinese letters were especially inappropriate in that this was the day that after 3,000 years of bedlam and fighting, there is peace in the Middle East. I wonder if that timing was coincidental, dependent on what China says about the hostile order that they just put out. I will be forced as President of the United States to financially counter their move. For every element that they've been able to monopolize, we have two. I've never thought it would come to this, but perhaps, as with all things, the time has come. Ultimately, though potentially painful, it will be a very good thing in the end for the USA. One of the policies that we're calculating at this moment is a massive increase of tariffs on Chinese products coming into the States. There's many other countermeasures that are likewise under serious consideration. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Markets extremely unhappy about this. The Dow falling close to 800 points. The NASDAQ down 3%. All of this happening, mind you, during a government shutdown and right when Russ Vought, director of OMB, has begun mass layoffs. Now, before we get into this, a quick message from our friends over at Black Forest Supplement. Look at that. The swamp and their allies in Big Pharma know this. A healthy, energized population's harder to control. That's why unelected bureaucrats at the FDA have made stem cell therapies practically impossible to access in the United States. Not because they don't work, but because they work too well. And that threatens Big Pharma. If you don't know, stem cells are like tiny repair crews in your body and go fix things that need to be fixed. If it's in your heart, they'll fix it. If it's in your liver, they'll fix it. If it's in your skin, they'll fix it. And you know who's been ahead of the curve on this for years? Joe Rogan. Just watch what he said.
I've had a bunch of surgeries that I avoided where the doctor's like, "You're going to need surgery." And I was like, "Are you fucking sure?" I wound up getting stem cells in my back. I had bulging discs.
What did you do?
Decompression, stem cells, fixed it. I have zero
Really?
Zero problems with my neck, zero problems with my shoulder. I had a full-length rotator cuff tear in my shoulder. And they were like, "You're going to need surgery, 100%. And I went back to the doctor 6 months later. It's like, this is fucking crazy. Like, that tear doesn't exist anymore.
The FDA has blocked these treatments, folks. As a result, people are forced to go overseas now just to get access to their own biology, and it's expensive, unregulated, and out of reach for most of us. Just one placenta stem cell injection can run you back $50,000. But here's what most people don't know. There's a natural way to support your own stem cell activity, and it comes from high flavanol cocoa. Harvard scientist Dr. William Lee actually backing this up. Check this out.
Wait a minute, this is a big one. Chocolate regenerates stem cells?
All chocolate has some cacao in it, except for white chocolate. Cacao actually comes from a plant. Studies have been done to show that the flavanols in cocoa stimulate stem cells to come out of your bone marrow like bees in a beehive in your bloodstream, and they go out and they find wherever it needs to be repaired. If it's in your heart, they'll fix it. If it's in your liver, they'll fix it. If it's in your skin, they'll fix it. And so we can eat foods like high flavanol cocoa in order to be able to actually get the stem cells to work a little bit better.
That's right, dark chocolate. But here's the thing, flavanols are the good stuff found in cocoa beans, but they're usually destroyed during the chocolate making process. That's where Black Forest Supplements comes in. They've created the first ever high flavanol cocoa powder packed with everything your body actually needs, and it's only 20 calories. I mix this stuff in with my coffee or my protein shake. It tastes amazing. This isn't regular cocoa, it's stem cell fuel. No sugar, 20 calories. Mix it into your coffee or your shakes. If you feel old, slow, or just off, lazy stem cells might be why. But this, it flips the switch. Studies show over 100% increase in stem cell circulation. All of this is why I asked the guys at Black Forest to give my audience this special promo, this buy one, get one free offer. So look, stock up while you can. So the White House today announcing layoffs have begun, a substantial number of government layoffs. Russ Vogt writing on X this morning, the RIFs have begun. That's reduction in force, a downsizing of the federal government. This is important because unlike previous shutdowns, RIFs aren't temporary. In almost every previous shutdown that I've been cognizant of throughout my entire life, government workers were always furloughed, which means temporarily asked to stay home until the government was funded. RIFs, on the other hand, mean you're gone. Permanent layoffs. The worst possible outcome for Democrats who are maintaining their position that Obamacare benefits must include illegal immigrants. The agencies whose employees have been instructed of their terminations include, thus far, the Interior Department, Homeland Security, Treasury, EPA, Commerce, the Education Department, Energy, HHS, and HUD. Yesterday, the president saying these layoffs will target primarily Democrat programs and Democrat prioritized agencies. Watch.
Because it's early, but it gets a little bit worse as it goes along. And we'll be making cuts that will be permanent. And we're only going to cut Democrat programs. I hate to tell you. I guess that makes sense. But we're only cutting Democrat programs. But we're going to start that. And we have Russell can talk to you about it if he wants to. But we'll be cutting some very popular Democrat programs that aren't popular with Republicans, frankly, because that's the way it works. They wanted to do this. So we'll give them a little taste of their own medicine. But Chuck Schumer proclaimed this morning that every day gets better for them.
These layoffs really upsetting Democrats today. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries having a panic attack, no longer feeling in control with this shutdown, telling Trump, you're just a really bad person. Watch what he said.
We're already seeing paychecks missed, soldiers lining up at food kitchens. Are you concerned that this fight for health care that Democrats are waging here might end up hurting Americans the longer the shutdown drags out?
Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They decided to shut the government down. Republicans in the House have decided to remain on vacation. Republicans canceled votes last week, they canceled votes this week, and now they've canceled votes next week. They're not serious about reopening the government. Republicans aren't even serious about paying our active duty troops.
But they have voted for temporary government funding legislation.
Republicans have voted for a partisan spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people.
Now look, we were hearing Dems thought Trump was bluffing, that he wouldn't actually use this specific tool in this shutdown fight. Well, he has. How much longer will Dems continue this, keeping the government shut down? I don't think much longer. We'll see. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.